What is up, everybody? It is November 11th. It is 12:21 p.m. Early edition. Your boys are back. It's sunny outside. Eric, how you doing this afternoon, I would say?
I'm doing great. I'm still buzzing from the last 2 weekends of crazy action that we had back-to-back UFC numbered events. We had Canelo sprinkled in there. We had some Bellator sprinkled in there. So it's been a nice back-to-back weekend of events. I'm still buzzing from that.
Yeah, definitely. Not just this weekend, but last weekend as well. The UFC has been blessing us. Canelo has been blessing us. But how long are you're on break right now, right, from work?
Yes, sir. I took my lunch break, so we'll see what we can squeeze in this hour.
What time is your lunch break until?
I don't know. I guess we'll give it an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so let's start with UFC 267. That was 2 weeks ago. It was a UFC numbered event, but it was the first free event since like UFC, I believe it was like 20 something. Let's start from, I guess, the bottom and work the way up. Just the big events of the night. Khamzat Chimaev, man, Boris was back in action after a year and a half, I believe, of a year and a half of a layoff that he's been away from the cage. He was dealing with some health issues. First he was dealing with COVID. He kind of had a brief retirement phase, and then, he was coughing up blood and all that. Then he came back. He signed up for another fight. He had to withdraw because he had lingering issues. But from what we saw against him versus Li Jingliang, I'm going to say that one slowly.
let's just call him the Leech, just to make things easier.
All right, let's do that. So the Leech, I mean, look, the Leech he's not the top of the division, but he's a good contender. You know what I mean? If you can get through someone like the Leech, you deserve to be in the UFC in that division. But Khamzat just made him look like he was just some scrub they picked out of the audience. I mean, the memes that were going on around after that, the way he just lifted him up and slammed him. He was yelling and talking to Dana while he was fighting. I mean, when have you ever seen that? Like, the guy is so crazy.
Yeah, I don't really recall ever seeing that. Maybe I've seen that. I've seen people talking to Dana White, but that's like later on in the fight, like as their opponent is against the cage, but nothing like right in the beginning of the fight. He knew that he was the better fighter, just dragging him across the cage, talking shit to Dana White, and the fight just looked easy for him, as he said. I don't know. He's a contender for sure, and Usman has a lot of worrying to do.
So let me ask you: did you enjoy his fight more or his post-fight speech more? Because both of them were just so intense and so crazy. Yeah.
Honestly, I enjoy both because him outside the octagon when he's talking is absolutely hilarious, but also him inside the octagon, the way he's making it look easy. People are doubting him, people are criticizing him, but he's carrying people across the octagon, destroying them. And this is Jingliang, as you said, not the best, not the most complete fighter, not really high ranked, but he's still a good stepping stone, I would say. A guy that's been there around for a very long time, and just taking him out in that fashion says a lot, I believe.
So look, like you just said, Usman has a lot of worrying to do. Khamzat is currently ranked number 10. Let me just read you the rest of the top 10 so we can see how I mean, you and I both agree how easy the rest of this division is going to be for him at welterweight. So Bilal Muhammad, easy fight for him. Magney.
While we're right there, Bilal Muhammad is also calling out Khamzat Chimaev. He said that he would fight Khamzat Chimaev, and as you're currently saying, I think I would have to agree that Khamzat Chimaev would destroy him.
I mean, look, Bilal is still going to be better than anyone Khamzat has faced so far. He has a very tough chin, and he's fairly well-rounded, but I think just Khamzat is better everywhere than Bilal is.
I don't know. I think Jingliang and Bilal, there's not really a big discrepancy between them. I feel like it's the same. Not saying that there's the same type of fighter, but like they're, how there's the levels, brother. They're kind of on the same. They're kind of on the same level, or like somewhere close to one another.
All right. Next up, we have Magney. I think maybe a little bit harder just because he's a little bit longer in size and a little bit taller. Just I feel like that might be a little bit of a factor, but I still think an easy fight. Then we have Masvidal, Chiesa, Wonder Boy, Vicente Luque, and then you get to Leon Edwards, which would be interesting. Gilbert Burns, I feel like is too small for him, and Colby and Usman. I think Colby and Usman just stylistically would give him the hardest run for his money. But I feel like this division he's on a different level, brother.
He's on a different level, brother, and I would have to agree with you. If anybody gives him a tough time, it would have to be Colby Covington. Look how tough Colby Covington is. We're going to mention him in a bit, but him, Kamaru Usman, two wrestlers. So it would be interesting to see how he sizes up against them. But the Burns, the Vicente Luque, especially the Wonder Boys or the people or like the Leon Edwards, why I feel like he's not going to really have a good time with him is because he doesn't really have a wrestling base like that. Like, I'm not saying that he's a bad wrestler, but he doesn't come from a wrestling background. So I feel like it's going to be an easier matchup for Hamzat. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen because he's calling people out in multiple divisions, wants to fight. He just had a fight, wants to fight again in the near future. So exciting things to come for Hamzat Chimaev, man. It's Hamzat time.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more interesting matchups for him at middleweight just because the opponents there are bigger, but the guy has two divisions that he's in the mix in right now. The guy's young, so I can see him move to like light heavyweight by the end of his career, if not all the way up to heavyweight, by the time he retires and be champion in every single division. The guy is, I've never seen anything like this guy before. He's just so crazy, so eager to fight. Apparently he's been calling Dana White every single day, or Dana's team every single day since the UFC 267 fight, asking for another fight.
Yeah, definitely a very bright prospect. And right now he's like, as you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned this, but Jorge Masvidal just withdrew from the fight with Leon Edwards. So he's one of the first people to come out and say that he would fight Leon Edwards, a person that's really high ranked. He's not scared of anybody. He's willing to fight anybody, and it's exciting. And I think Leon Edwards would be a great fight for him because a lot of people are saying that he should fight for the title next, and I don't agree with that. I think maybe 1 to 2 more fights. Let's enjoy him, Let's enjoy him a little bit because he said,
John, fans like you are the problem with MMA, John. Fans like you are the problem. Leon is on the longest winning streak in the division right now. He should have already had the title fight, but they gave him Jorge Masvidal. Usman just finished fighting. I don't think he's injured, whatever. Give Usman a couple of months to heal up. Leon and Usman need a fight. It's a rematch that needs to happen. Leon has long deserved it. Hamzat, I think, look, I was going to say he fight Colby, but I think Colby versus Masvidal is the fight to make once Colby heals up. Once Colby and Masvidal heal up, since Masvidal is out for injury. I think that's going to be the fight to make for the two of them, but Hamzat can be an alternate fighter for either one of those fights, I think. But yeah, Leon deserves this fight, brother. Leon deserves it.
Yeah. You just mentioned the top 10 with the Chiesa, Thompson, Vicente Luque, all those people that you mentioned, Burns. Give him one of those, 1 to 2 of those. Let's see if he's actually the real deal. I think that he's the real deal. You think that he's the real deal, but until he fights someone, I guess now we're gonna say in the top 5 because now he beat someone in the top. What was that top? What was Li Jingliang?
I think he was 10. I think he was 10 or 15. He was at the bottom of the rankings. He's number 12 now. So yeah, I think he was number 10 prior to the fight.
So now we're basically looking for the next test for him. So I have the utmost confidence in Hamzat Chimaev. He has confidence in himself, and it's exciting times for him in the UFC.
Him versus Luque would kind of be interesting. Luque is number 4. He's not quite at the title shot yet, but I think he's tough enough to give him a run for his money.
That would be an exciting fight, but I just don't see why Luque would take that fight. It's such a big risk versus small reward for him. So I feel like Hamzat is probably going to fight somewhere closer in rankings to him. And, as he says that he's going to smash everybody. It's like everybody's turn is going to come eventually. And it's just interesting to see what's going to happen.
So next on the card was Islam versus Dan Hooker. And I don't know how many of you guys can see my shirt right now. I know some of you guys are audio only, but it's a Dagestan takeover right now. Shout out to MMA Uncensored for this cool t-shirt. But look, man, Islam made very, very light work of Hooker. Dan Hooker, top contender. He was top of the division fighting Poirier, fighting Gaichi, fighting, the biggest dogs and giving them a run for their money. Those fights went pretty much the distance, almost to the distance. But Islam, he just went in there, he took him down, he smashed him, and then used the Khabib cheat code and secured the Kimura. And he just made very light work. And in the words of Islam, now we're gonna talk, brother. Now we're gonna talk.
Yeah, I feel like this fight kind of played out like most people thought it would. Islam, as we said on the previous podcast, that his wrestling pedigree, his background in mixed martial arts is going to be a very tough fight for Hooker. A lot of people, thought Hooker was going to win just because of his name, but I'm not really surprised. I'm not really surprised with this victory at all. Islam is the real deal, and I don't really see anybody in the division. I always say this shit, but I don't really see anybody in the division beating him. But you never know.
Okay, so lightweight, let's see where Islam is ranked number 4. I think it's
Islam is ranked number 4. There's one. So they're like Justin Gaethje, obviously, Dustin Poirier. Those the
Number
top
two,
the
number one.
top the top level guys that might give him a problem, although I don't really think so. But something that Vittori said is he mentioned Beneil Dariush.
Yep, ranked
I,
number
I
3 right now.
I think Beneil Dariush. I know that you don't think he's a really good fighter, but I think he's really tough, and I think like that will give Islam a run for his money.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that I don't think he's good. I just think he's tougher. He's more tough than he is skilled, I believe. And look, I agree. I think that would be a very tough test for Islam. Let's see. We have Poirier at number 1 about to fight Oliveira for the belt. Justin Gaethje at number 2. He just won. Yeah, Beneil Dariush versus Islam could be number 1 contender fight.
Yeah, but Dagestan goes 5-6 overall in at UFC 267. I don't have the list in front of me of the Dagestani fighters that went 5-6, but
Magomed Ankalaev was in there.
Magomed Ankalaev was in there. Shamai was in there. Was that Imamov or did he just fight this?
He's French. He's not Dagestani.
Oh, yeah. That's so racist.
And that's the wrong card. We're not on that card yet. All right, 2 more quick fights on this, guys. We had Jan versus Sandhagen. What a fight, man. What a fight. Peter Yan, he secured the belt, his interim title, even though just about every fan, every athlete in the organization believes that he is the real champion.
I wouldn't say that. A lot of people don't think that he's the real champion. Still, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Because,
everyone that's relevant,
listen. Some people don't think that he's the real. Well, now they kind of have to because he is the champion again. But before, people didn't believe that he was a champion.
No, I'm saying now
he did lose. He did lose, although that was disqualification. But he did lose the fight. So I would just have to correct you there.
I mean, I think it was Gaichi or Chandler. One of them were asked in the press conference last week if they consider Jan the real, or whoever it was. I forgot who they asked. They asked someone at an interview if they can. A lot of contenders, they were asked if they consider Jan the real champion, and everyone I've heard so far, they say, yeah, Jan is the real champion.
Well, obviously we all know this. I'm just busting your balls. Yeah, continue your thoughts.
But yeah, man, both of the fighters were just phenomenal. Peter Yan, I don't want to say he's a slow fighter, but I feel like he takes too much damage in that first round. With Sandhagen, we saw him give away the first round. With Sterling, Sterling got close to finishing Yan in the first. Maybe not close to finishing him, but he put on some real power, some real damage in the first round for Yan. And I know Yan likes to take that first round to kind of just observe his opponent's movements and reactions and everything. But I'd like to see him start turning it up a little bit sooner. You know what I mean? Or at least be a little bit more defensive.
I mean, that's an area I would have to disagree with you in. I think that Jan does it. I mean, he does absorb a lot of hits, but like that's the only way he's gonna figure out where his opponent is kicking and punching from. So I do think that he defends himself adequately. It could look like that he's getting. It could seem that he's getting hurt, but I do think that he's defending himself. I think that he knows what he's doing, and it's just his strategy to take that first round and like pick just like see where the range of his opponent, like the angles that his opponent is coming from, and I feel like that's just his strategy. That's the way he fights, and it's working for him. And I wouldn't advise him to change anything. And that's just my personal take on it.
Look, he's so fast. His technique is so crisp. Like everything is just everything he throws with intent. You know what I mean? Like that fight was just MMA art. It was gorgeous. I rewatched that fight 2 or 3 times. Like it was just beautiful to watch. Like both fighters. Sandhagen did a great job as well. But Peter Yan did come out as a better guy. So look, I hope Sterling heals up well so that Yan can become the undisputed champion. Peter Yan tweeted out to TJ Dillashaw, like, are you ready yet? Are you healed up yet?
What he said exactly was, how's your recovery going, old cheat? That was his word for word tweet to TJ Dillashaw. But yes, continue your thoughts once again.
Yeah, I think TJ's still gonna need a couple of months to recover and get into rehab. I mean, he just had some really bad knee injury. So look, man, Merab is running up that division. Merab, I think, is going to be stylistically a very difficult matchup for the champ, for Peter Yan. I think he's going to give Peter Yan a harder time than Aljamain Sterling would, just because of the style. And I think Merab is a lot stronger than Sterling. I think Merab might be a good fight.
Sterling is pissing me off because now he's coming out and saying that Jan's bettors should basically put money on Yan if they have so much confidence in him on the next fight. He's saying that
I
He
will.
took out San. He took. I mean, so will I. And he's saying that he took out Sanhagen much faster than Jan did. I mean, like, dude, just chill out. Like, everybody knows that you lost. Like, yes, you are the champion because I don't know,
Because
things
you
played
cried.
because you cried. Things played out the way it did, which it shouldn't have. Nobody should have been the champion that night. But you're the champion. Just be quiet. You got your ass whooped. You're probably most likely gonna get your ass whooped again. So just sit there with your belt. Be quiet. Don't say stupid shit. That's just my 2 cents of the matter.
He did go on Ariel Helwani's show and actually praise Jan, which I was surprised about. I thought he was going to come at Jan a bit more aggressively. So it was nice to see the respect there. But look, all I can say is,
he said, yeah, that was a good fight, but like wait till daddy returns or something like that, something derogatory. So it's like
yeah,
it's like a fake praise, but obviously he's looking at Jan and saying like, what do I have to critique in this fight? It just was like almost a flawless performance besides that first round, which I think is tactically the way that Jan fights. So it's early in the morning. I can't talk yet, but yeah.
all right, man. I don't know. Let's see. I hope like I said, I just want Jan to become the undisputed champion. He deserves that. So I just hope that Aljamain recovers well and he can get back in there because even Aljo at 200% is not going to be able to do anything to Jan at 50%. So let's go, Peter Jan. Let's fucking go. All right. Next up, we had to wrap up UFC 267. Was a bit of a shocker. We had Glover Teixeira finally securing the UFC championship at 42, I believe, or 43 years old, defeating Jan Blachowicz. So a lot of people expected Jan to just walk right through Glover. They were kind of already, counting him out and looking at Yuri Prohaska and all the other next contenders for Jan. But me included, man, Glover shocked the world when he won the belt at UFC 267. Very deserving guy. He's been in the game for so long. He's such a nice personality. He's trained with some of the best athletes in the game, fought some of the best in the game. So I'm very glad he got to hold on to the UFC title at least one time before he retired.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Glover's been in the game. He's been in the UFC for 9 years, but he's been fighting for way longer than that. I feel like this is kind of going to be a similar situation with him as it was for Jan, in a sense that Jan, like, he became the champion and people knew like this is going to be like a temporary thing, like it's not going to last a long time, or at least I did. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with Glover Teixeira. I feel like he might win 1 or 2 fights as a champion, but then his time is going to be up, and it's just nice to see him get the belt. But in terms of the fight itself, I thought that, I mean, Glover Teixeira was clearly the better fighter that night. But I thought that Jan Blachowicz topped out extremely quickly. Like, as soon as the submission was in, he just immediately tapped out, which I thought was a little surprising. Like, you're the champion, at least go out on your shield, or if not, like, let the submission come in completely before you top out. That's just something I noticed. But Glover is suspended now for 6 months because of a shoulder injury. So we're not going to be seeing him fight for at least 6 months. But
it's a medical suspension for those, I guess, that aren't familiar. After a fight, the medical the athletic commission, they suspend the fighters for a certain number of time just for them to heal and recover, so they don't take any big injury. So no cheating suspension.
Yeah. So with this win, Glover is the oldest first-time champion in UFC history, and the second oldest UFC champion in UFC history, right behind Randy Couture, who I believe did it at like 44 or 45 years old. So big things, good times for Glover Teixeira. Couldn't be happier for him, and I hope he defends the belt for a long time. But as I said, I think it's going to be a temporary thing.
Okay, let me just put it to you this way: his next fight is pretty clearly going to be Yuri Prohaska. How the hell is Glover going to beat Yuri Prohaska? Yuri, that guy, I'm a little bit shocked that they're giving him a title fight so early on. But from what we've seen, the guy is just a fucking machine. He's just like a robot. I don't even know what to call him. He's just insane. We have Jan Blachowicz at number 1, Yuri number 2, right? So everyone knows Yuri's going to fight Glover, like 99% chance. So next you have Rakic. Glover might be able to beat Rakic. Number 4 is Anthony Smith. Glover already beat Anthony Smith. Then you have Thiago Santos. Those fights I feel like Glover could possibly beat, but not Yuri, bro. Not Yuri. Yuri's different level. I feel like Yuri's just going to put him on a different planet.
I would have to agree with you. I think that Yuri's he's younger, he's stronger, hungrier. And I don't think you saw the movie, but I always compare him to the character Tom Poe in Kickboxer, just hitting trees with his bare hands kicking trees, and there are videos of Prochaska doing the same shit. So tough guy. It's going to be an extremely tough matchup for him. But let's celebrate Glover's victory until that fight gets announced, and then we'll break that fight down and see who has their advantages and how. But for now, good job, Glover Teixeira. After a long career, it's nice to see him win.
All right, so UFC 268 was this past Saturday. Very exciting. We had pretty much top to bottom. Both UFC 267 and 268 were just so exciting. But we're just going to read off. Let's go through the last couple of fights on the prelims and some of the fights on the main event here. On the prelims, Ali Quina got knocked out by Bobby Green in the first round. Neither of these guys have made it to the distance since like 2013 or 2015. Like everyone was banking on this fight to go the distance, and Bobby Green, he got the knockout at 2.5 minutes. So halfway into the first round, he got a knockout against Ali Quina, who's been out for a while. Ali Quina, teammates with Merab, Aljamain Sterling, and former guest of the show, not a previous guest of the show, Nazim. So, we were rooting for him. I thought Ali Quina was going to get the job done.
Dennis Bazooka, 2 previous guests, brother.
Yes, sir. So, look, we were rooting for Ali Quina. Actually, a friend of mine put money on.
Why do you keep saying his name like that?
Iquinta.
I like Quina. I don't think that's not how you pronounce his name.
All right, like how Khabib says, Iquinta.
Yeah, Iquinta.
So a friend of mine actually put money for Green to win by knockout, and I think it was like a plus 600, plus 800 like payout. Like the payout was pretty nice. So shout out to Bobby Green. He's been looking pretty good as of late. I know he's like 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss, but like the fights themselves are very interesting. Like he's in the fight, like he's definitely making improvements, and he's not a young guy. So to see him doing this stuff at this age is pretty impressive.
Are you talking about Ali Quina or
Bobby Green? Bobby Green.
Yeah, Bobby Green had a dominant performance. Ali Quina looked outmatched the entire fight. And it was kind of sad to see him and Gian Vellante, his teammate, go out in such fashion. 2 Law MMA fighters, 2 fighters from Long Island, getting completely dismantled. Ali Quina by Bobby Green by knockout, as you mentioned, and then Gian Vellante by Chris Barnett. So, it's two veterans of the game, and it's tough to see them go out like that. But I hope Ali Quina makes the adjustments he needs to. I just thought that in this fight, I don't know what it was. I thought that he looked weaker. He looked smaller. And I don't know. I feel like he just didn't have a chance at all in this fight. And I don't know what that's accredited to, but it wasn't a pleasant sight.
All right, let's just poke around through the card. We'll go through some. I know we just started with the prelims. Let's go back to the early prelims. We'll just make our way through some of the bigger fights through the card. Melsik Bagdasaryan was one of the earlier fights that we were looking out for. He beat former guest of the show, Dennis Bazooki, at the Contender Series. He ended up getting the contract. He got a unanimous decision win against Bruno Souza. So great performance for him. He does need to make some improvements if he's trying to make it up the featherweight division, because they do have a lot of killers at the top of that division. But I think he has a pretty solid start to his career. I think he's 2-0 now in the UFC, right? Not counting.
I think he lost his first fight in the UFC.
So 1-1, not including the Contender Series.
Yeah. The audience would have to double check us on that, but I believe it's 1-1.
Also on the early prelims, like you just mentioned, Gian Vellante fought Chris Barnett. Gian Vellante announced a few days before the fight that was going to be his last fight. Chris Barnett, he made sure to put him out on a good note. I mean, Chris Barnett is he's been waiting to get into the UFC for a while. I believe that was his UFC debut, because I know there was he's been trying to get in the organization for a long time. They were in conversation, but some ups, some downs, whatever it was, didn't work out. But Chris Barnett, the dude came out dancing. The guy did a spinning heel hook or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Gian Vellante out. Then the guy made a flip. The dude is a heavyweight. He's over 220 pounds, and he just flips like smoother than I would flip. In all honesty, like the guy just a really explosive personality, just very funny guy. He's a great fighter as well. I think he said his father was a fighter as well, so like runs in the family, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And he's not doesn't look like a Francis Ngannou or like a Stipe Miocic, where you wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. He looks like a big boy, or like flabby and stuff like that. So it was seeing him do the backflip. Was that front flip or back flip? That was back flip, no?
Front flip.
That was a front flip?
Yeah, and then he landed on his ass.
He landed on his ass. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. That was exciting. It was very exciting, dude.
So John Vellante, funny story. When I used to work at Madison Square Garden, he came through to do a meet and greet with us once before UFC 235, I believe it was. So John Vellante happened to come up to me and they were giving us some sweets or snacks out or something like that. He just walks by me and just grabs my food, puts it in his mouth, and walks away. So I kind of had like a weird vibe towards this guy. I feel like he was like one of those just douchey ass. Like he didn't ask for my food or nothing. He just kind of walked by and took it. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me, man? So like ever since then, I kind of had a weird taste for him in my mouth. That's when he was like a welterweight or a middleweight.
It's kind of funny to me.
The guy's definitely put on a few pounds since then. But yeah,
he's definitely. If you look at him now, and if you look at him
2-3 years ago, yeah,
because we were posting about him on our Instagram, and I was just looking at his old pictures compared to what he looks now, just completely different. But this was his last fight. He did make an announcement, so I guess he let himself get a little carried away. But still, congratulations on a
career.
But I wanted to say good career, but I don't even on a mediocre career. That's unfortunately as much as I could go over there. But looks like a good guy despite the way he treated you and took your food from your plate. You never told me that story. I hear a lot of your stories. That's one that you never mentioned before.
That was a weird one. I also met Caitlin Chukagian that day. She was awesome. But yeah. We were actually supposed to meet Wonder Boy that day, and then Wonder Boy got like double booked somewhere else. So they kind of gave us John Vellante and Caitlin Chukagian. This was like a long time ago. No one really know who Caitlin was, but Caitlin was much nicer than John was.
So also on the card, we had Ian Gary, the next Irish superstar, or as he claims to be, the next Conor McGregor, Ireland takeover, all that stuff. He gets the job done via Jordan Williams in round 1. 4 minutes and 59 seconds of round number 1. That's the last second of the round. He gets the job done. He's 23 years old. His nickname is the Future. He thinks he's going to be the next champion. He says that he's going to fight Khamzat in the future. He says that they're going to be the future of the division. So I mean, it was a nice win. I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go that far to say that he's going to be the next Conor McGregor or anything like that. But I guess it's getting him clicks and stuff like that. So he's doing a good job so far.
Okay, before we continue, do we see what Khamzat did to Gerald Meerschaert? He's going to do twice as much damage with one punch to Ian Gary. I'm just putting that out there. Stay humble, brother. Stay humble. Second,
yeah.
I think he leaned way too much into the whole I'm the next Conor McGregor thing. Like, I think he needs to be a little bit more original. He did have a wild knockout, but to be honest, he did not really have a great round. Jordan Williams, who not the best, but not really anything special in my opinion. He landed some big shots on Ian Gary and almost put him away several moments in the fight. So for Ian Gary to, I don't want to say necessarily almost got finished, but for him to take a beating like that and then, to come out and do this whole I'm the next Conor McGregor thing, I don't know. I didn't like that aspect of it. I think him and Paddy the Baddy are both a little bit overhyped. They're 100%. Both of them in their first fight, they won and they won nicely, but like the fight itself wasn't amazing. Like they're making it out to be like flawless performances for the two of them for whatever reason.
The fight wasn't going their way in both instances. So yeah,
so that's why I'm like a little bit surprised at the narrative and the push that they're getting. But look, they're new prospects. They need to get a little bit on the nice side of the UFC. But
he's 23 years old also, so that's another factor. But yeah, comparing himself to Conor McGregor, who is a two-time two-division champion, comparing himself to someone like Khamzat Chimaev, who has absorbed like 1 or 2 punches in his last 4 fights, where he completely dominates all his opponents, it's kind of like out of the question, in my opinion. But good job on the win. It was a nice victory. Not a fluke in any way or form, but the fight was definitely not going the way I thought. Like he probably thought it would. So let him absorb that. But there's some tough competition in the UFC, and I feel like he's gonna have a rude awakening.
Yeah, no, he definitely. I mean, look, he's young, like you said. He's just getting started, but I mean, look, he could make improvements, but to say he's the next Conor McGregor is a stretch.
In the words of the great George St. Pierre, I am not impressed by your performance, and I look forward to fighting you in the near future. So we'll see what happens there, man.
All right, let's just go through like 3 more fights in the main card because I do have to head back to work soon. Justin Gaichi versus Michael Chandler to start off the main event, the main card. Wow, what a fucking banger. I cannot imagine what this fight would have been like if it was 5 rounds. I think it should have been 5 rounds. Both guys, I feel like card conditioning and everything would have been okay, but placement on the card and everything. I don't know. You can't say anything bad about either fighter. So much heart, so much power, just so much respect for both of these guys. Justin Gaethje, as we predicted, was a little more powerful, a little more explosive, and got the job done. Look, I have nothing bad to say about Chandler. It just wasn't his night. You know what I mean? But I think he's definitely, shown that he deserves to be in the UFC and deserves to be in the top of the UFC lightweight division.
Yeah, Michael Chandler is as tough as they come. It was a very back and forth fight. The numbers were very close, but Gaethje did what he had to do. I feel like as the fight progressed, Chandler started fighting stupidly. Like he put his hands down, was absorbing unnecessary punches. I thought that was really not necessary. This fight was very exciting. Fight of the year contender. A lot of people are saying that this might be the fight of the year. But Gaethje does go out to criticize Mike Beltran. I don't know if you heard about that, because he says that Mike Beltran didn't step in quickly enough when Michael Chandler landed the eye poke, and also didn't give him time to rest after that, which I thought was really weird. And also the broadcast team did mention that. But Justin Gaethje, probably next in line for the title. I know that Islam Makhachev is trying to get that opportunity, but I think it's going to be Gaethje fighting for the title very soon.
Gaethje deserves it. Look, I think it's a win-win for Gaethje, depending how the title fight works out between Poirier and Oliveira. A rematch with him and Poirier will be very interesting. That fight was probably fight of the year, I think, when 2018, I think that fight was fight of the year. It was so great. So to have that same exact firepower as for a title fight, I think would be amazing. Him versus Oliveira, I think, would be interesting as well. Some new blood for Justin Gaethje. Interesting things going on in the lightweight division. It's honestly one of my favorite divisions. I am very strong on Oliveira. I know a lot of people are not, but it is what it is. And Dude Bronx is going to show you guys how it's all going to get done. I don't know if he's going to beat Justin Gaethje. I feel like Oliveira has a better chance beating Poirier. I feel like Justin Gaethje might just put his lights out right away.
In due time, Islam is going to come, and it's going to be Islam's time, in my opinion. He's going to destroy Oliveira.
I agree.
But, one thing that I have to praise Michael Chandler for, I feel like he's doing this properly, as he would do this he's kind of doing this in a way that Chael Sonnen likes to demonstrate, saying that this is how you have to be in the UFC. Now, Chandler's going out and calling out Conor McGregor. Just like getting his name more and more out there. Like he lost the fight, but people say that his stock hasn't decreased. I think it did. Like he lost the fight. I said, it was an exciting fight, but I don't think that his stock should be where it was prior to the fight. And the call out against Conor McGregor, I feel like that's a really strategic call out, because styles make fights, and he's a wrestler. You know how Conor McGregor has a tough time with wrestlers. Conor McGregor's losing fights in not too long ago, so I feel like it's a good time to call out Conor McGregor, and great opportunity for him if the fight ever materializes.
So the call outs for Conor, I want to say a couple things on that. First of all, Chandler's been calling for Conor so long, he just sounds desperate. Look, I'm not opposed to the fight. I think Chandler will win the fight. They both tweeted out and agreed via Twitter to fight at 170, which is, I think, another weird aspect to this. Like, I get Chandler wants the money fight, and I do think stylistically Chandler will probably win, especially at this point of McGregor's career, but I don't see why. The guy's not ranked. The guy's not winning. Conor McGregor's a loser these days. Like love him or hate him, he's a loser these days. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And the way that Michael Chandler is conducting himself, like, I say that he's doing everything properly in terms of portraying himself, but I feel like he kind of looks fake. He kind of looks money hungry.
WWE, he has a very WWE personality, which I don't like. But look, I disagree with when you said that his stock went down.
He's like a walking advertisement for the UFC. Like, he's at the press conference, come watch my fight, first fight on the UFC event, like UFC pay-per-view. Like, shut the hell up. Like,
he's promoting his fight, bro. It's his job.
I know, but he sounds very generic.
Look, I disagree when you said that his stock should go down. Like I said, there were no losers that night. I think both guys put on such a tremendous performance that, they both did great. Chandler did not come out with the hand raise, but I don't think that means his stock necessarily had to go down.
I feel like his stock kind of decreased in a sense that not like we know that he's an exciting fighter, but it kind of decreased in the sense that I don't really see him being the best in the UFC. You know, like when he came to Bellator from Bellator, people were calling him the best in the world. He was calling himself the best in the world. I feel like in the sense of that, he's not he's not that anymore. But he's always going to be an exciting fight. So he has that going for himself. But that's just to clarify. That's what I meant by that.
All right, so further in the card, we had Marlon Vera defeating the veteran, the legend Frankie Edgar. There was a lot of pictures that went around. I really feel bad for Frankie Edgar just because who he is to the sport and like just the trajectory his career is on now. I kind of wish that he doesn't fight anymore, and not because I don't like him, just because I like him so much that I don't want to see him continue to get hurt and continue to get injured. He's had some pretty. It wasn't not like he didn't go out, but like that kick to the face. Very Anderson Silva style, very Lyoto Machida style. Look, man, the guy's old. He's not going to win the belt, not at any division at this time in his career. So why take this beating? I mean, he's not performing well anymore. And I don't know. Yeah. I think he needs to pack his bags.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree with you. He's been in the UFC since 2006. He's a former champion. He's lost 4 of his last 5 fights, only defeating Pedro Munoz by split decision. So that upkick was beautiful, very Anderson Silva-like. But Vera wants Merab and Sandhagen next. I feel like 2 great matchups for him. And exciting times for Vera. He's moving along the rankings, beating big names such as Edgar, such as Sean O'Malley. So it's a great time for him in the UFC.
The more press I listen to from Marlon Vera, the more I like the guy. I've heard him several times on Ariel Helwani, listened to some of the interviews leading up to this fight. He's just a very funny guy. Like, he doesn't take shit from nobody. He came from nowhere. He's just grinding, and he's just like one of those people that have grinded his way up to where he is now. And you can see like that in his personality. Like I don't take shit from nobody. Like, you can see from like it showed, like his hardships that show in his personality. I just think he's a very entertaining guy to not only to watch fight, but to listen to in the interviews as well.
Yeah, just for the sake of time, we're just gonna go over I know you have to get back to work. We're just gonna go over the Rose fight and the Usman fight, and then we'll post our prediction for the Max Holloway fight on our Instagram. That's Inside the Clinch MMA. Hopefully sometime tomorrow or early on Saturday. We'll try to get it out there tomorrow. But let's talk about this Rose fight. Rose does it once again via defeating Weili Zhang via split decision. It was a very close fight, but if you watch the fight, the numbers were very close. In some instances, the numbers favored Weili. But if you watch the fight, you could definitely see that Rose was the better fighter that night. And it's just so nice to see Rose winning once again. What were your thoughts on the fight?
I agree. Yeah. If you watch the fight, it was one-sided. I was hoping, I knew Rose was going to win, even though I was kind of hoping Zhang Weili would for whatever reason. But it was evident that Rose was the better fighter. Zhang Weili had her moments towards the end of the fight, but overall in the fight, if you go round by round, it was very evident that Rose won. So when they read that the first scorecard went to Zhang Weili, I'm like, what the hell is happening? I kind of knew whenever they read the first name on a split decision, I feel like the first name is the name that loses. I don't know. That's not always accurate, but that's just kind of my thought. So. That's just my personal. I feel like that happens sometimes. I don't know. It was a weird. I feel like that was just a bullshit win. But Rose is the best strawweight around right now. She got praise from Valentina Shevchenko. So we see the two of them train together, so we know that super fight's never gonna happen.
I thought you were gonna say that fight's the next fight to make.
No. I don't think that fight is ever gonna happen. Zhang Weili, she did say in the press conference she's looking to the third fight, which a lot of people I feel like they're assuming that Zhang Weili wants that immediately. I don't know if she necessarily meant it that way, but I definitely feel like down the line we will see a third fight between the two of these girls.
She needs to chill out a little bit. I want to read out the total strikes because it was very close. So Rose went 130 out of 219, while Weili went 162 of 272. So that's Weili had a slightly higher accuracy in terms of total strikes. The significant strikes were very close as well. Rose had an 86 out of 168 strikes, while Weili had 83 out of 173. So it was a very close fight. But as we mentioned, if you watch the fight, it was clear that Rose was the better fighter. So I know that Weili wants a third fight. Obviously, she wants to be the champion, but it's clear that she's not ready yet. She's probably better than most girls in the division, but Rose Namajunas is just something else at this point in her career.
Yeah, like she says, she's the best. She's the best. So
I
interesting.
am the best.
I wonder if the UFC will offer Joanna to Rose or to Weili next. I feel like the Weili fight. Yeah, I feel like Carla should fight Rose, and then Weili versus Joanna too should be the fight to me.
There's a lot of chatter. Carla Esparza is coming out to the media saying that she deserves the.
She beat Rose before.
Yeah, so I mean that's a possible fight to make next, but I feel like Dana White doesn't want that fight. I don't really know what Dana White wants, but I feel like Carla Esparza should be somewhere up there in terms of fighting Rose next. Because who else is there? We saw Rose defeat Joanna twice. We saw Rose defeat Weili twice. Those are two best females in the division. So I feel like Carla is the next girl in line.
All right, so to conclude UFC 268, Kamaru Usman made sure there were no doubters this time. Though it was a unanimous decision win over Colby Covington, it was very evident that Usman was the better fighter. Again, I was rooting for Colby. I had him on two different parlays that went to shit, so I was a little bit upset about that. He was a plus 245. I thought those odds were a bit wider than they should have been, but Usman was clearly the better man, clearly the better fighter. It was nice to see them. I know Colby at the post-fight press conference still had his whole act on of how he hates Kamaru and all that, but like if there were some videos going around, the two of them, shared some nice words. Colby told Kamaru, it's just for to sell the fight, to make money. Kamaru's like, I totally get it. So it was mutual respect. We saw a little sprinkle of love between the two guys, which was nice. So
the referee had to fuck everything up by saying something weird. Like, oh, you girlies good. What did he say?
I don't know. Dan Miragliotta said something funny though.
I don't know.
YouTube or some shit like that.
Yeah, that honestly, like whatever you could call it funny, I thought that was kind of annoying. Like we didn't really get to see what that would have played out too. You kind of like broke it up. Like that's not your position to do that, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to make sure they were not going to get into each other's faces.
Bro, they were fucking giving each other love. Like, what do you mean they're like getting each other's faces? They're like, yo, like you're the best or whatever. They're saying like good things. It's all love. It's all business, whatever. They were saying nice things to one another, and I just wanted to see how that would have played out without him interfering. I don't know, just my thing.
Yeah, I mean, Colby was kind of whispering it because, like I said, as soon as the cameras went back on, he's like, yo, I don't respect that bum at all. And it's like, crazy old Colby.
Yeah, but there's talks about the takedown that Colby landed or didn't land. What did you think? Did he land that takedown or not?
Technically, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the UFC counts as a takedown, but personally, yes, I think that it does because first he had Kamaru, first he posted on one hand and then he got him down to his knees. And I think if the knees touch the ground, I mean, a knee is a grounded opponent, right? So do you take your opponent to the ground, that should technically count as a takedown? No, following that logic, that's what I would think. But because Kamaru's knees did go down the second takedown attempt.
I think that it was a successful takedown, but what does that takedown really mean? Like he got the takedown and then he
that's a different story. Back up. That's what's different.
Yeah, I do believe that
refereeing.
I do think that it should have been counted as a takedown. So I don't think.
I think the UFC, like for the referees, they need to see you do something with the takedown, whether it's secure a position or something. I think otherwise, if the person sprawls up, they don't always count it. So I think they need to clarify what exactly.
I think they need to like modify their rules and like have exact things that instances of what they're gonna do, because like you can't. Some referees are gonna count it as a takedown, others are not. So I don't know. But yeah, Kamaru Usman gets a job done. And another thing that I really wanted to mention, so Kamaru Usman, there's two things I wanted to mention. So Kamaru Usman, I feel like a big advantage that he has is his head. His head is so hard.
It's a big head.
When he gets hit, when he gets hit on the head, it feels like nothing happened. But you got to give credit to Colby, because Colby was losing the first two rounds. We were watching the fight at my brother's apartment, and we all were agreeing that Colby kind of looks a little off. But then Colby began to pick it up in the third, fourth, and fifth round. I thought that he won the fourth and fifth round for sure, picking apart Kamaru Usman. But only if he did that a little earlier, we could have made a claim for Colby winning the fight. But it was a very exciting. Colby's definitely the second best guy in the division. But yeah, great UFC event overall.
Let's see, I'm trying to see who else could we match up with Colby, because we have Luque. You know what I mean? We have.
Now we have Usman says he wants to fight Luque or Edwards next.
Edwards. Has to be Edwards. How's Luke getting the jump before Leon? I'm not understanding this. How's anyone getting the jump over Leon? He's on the longest active streak. He's beating everyone. Like, I don't understand where this hate for Leon is coming from. I feel so bad for the guy.
You know where it comes from? It comes from Leon going to fight Nate Diaz and almost getting knocked out like towards the end of the fight.
Bro, no.
Yes.
People hated him long before that. He dominated.
I know, but I'm not saying that's where it came from. But I'm just saying, like, it's just Leon Edwards. I don't know. People just don't like him.
Casuals, all you casuals, all of you.
whatever you want to call it. He's just not an intriguing character, you know, like he's kind of like boring in a way. That's why he's not really getting the recognition that he deserves. I agree with you that he definitely deserves a title shot next. And it's going to be sad if it turns out into like a Tony Ferguson situation, winning so many consecutive fights, not getting the opportunity, and then becoming old and rusty like Tony Ferguson is. I don't want to see that happen to Leon Edwards, definitely.
Let Masvidal heal up, let Colby heal up. Colby Masvidal's the fight to make. Guys, I got to head back to work before I lose my job.
You do that.
Thank you for joining us for round 44 of Inside the Clinch. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. On Instagram, we are at Inside the Clinch MMA. On Twitter, we are ITC MMA Podcast. And on YouTube and Facebook, we are Inside the Clinch MMA Podcast. Thank you guys. Catch you next week.
Yeah, look out for the video coming out hopefully tomorrow once again. Breakdown with Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez fight. It's going to be a good breakdown. Eric and I are going to go through the ins and outs of the fight. So follow us on Instagram, Inside the Clinch MMA, as Eric mentioned. And Eric, have a good day. Have a good time at work, and I'll talk to you later. All right, buddy?
Catch you later, brother.